Alright, so this is going to be my first video with commentary. So it's going to be my first voiceover video. This is just me analyzing my chess games. I'm very proud of these. I played both of them with near perfect accuracy, so I'm just going to analyze them. So the first game is a blitz game, I'm pretty sure. Online blitz game. So the first move played by white, my opponent, is d3. And I don't know why he played this move because it's not a very strong opening, but I guess he was just feeling ambitious. I respond with d5, and now he plays d4. I mean, he could have just played it right off the bat to gain the advantage, but he does not. So then I play knight to c6, threatening his pawn, and he plays pawn to e3. So at this point, we kind of just play the book moves, or I played the book move, and then he goes crazy here with the c4 pawn. And obviously the engine does not prefer this move. It's just an inaccuracy. It's not a very good move to play. So I take advantage of it, capturing on d4. He responds by capturing back, and then I capture on the c file. He captures back with his bishop, and then I grab the pawn. So I'm at an advantage here with 3 pawns. He only has captured 2. He then plays knight to e2. And, I'm just kind of lazy at this point, so I don't feel like moving to the knight to another square, trying to protect it or save it. I just trade. And this is also great for me, because then I can grab his queen later on when he makes this mistake here by recapturing on e2. Because the better move here would be for him with his bishop to capture on this pawn right here. Because then I can't recapture with my king, as he would just grab my queen, and I would lose the game unless he blundered some. So yeah, that wouldn't be very good for me. But he does not see that idea, and so he grabs knight recapture. So here, I just jump on his queen, grab it, and yeah, so that's a great move for me, because now I'm ahead in material, and I'm better positionally because I'm ahead in development. So I play bishop to e6, natural development move. He develops by castling. I move my bishop to c5. Not the best move according to the engine, castling. It preferred castling, but I decided to go with the bishop, just develop some pieces, put them on the board. He then puts his rook. This is an inaccuracy. He puts his rook on e1. I guess trying to pin my bishop. It's not a good move, though. The engine does not like it. I then castle, like I should. He then develops his knight. I develop my knight. He moves his bishop to e3. So the engine, it says it's a good move, right? But g5 would have been better because it's threatening. It's kind of putting this nice line right here to my rook, so I can't move this pawn. It's just a better move. So yeah, not the greatest move, but still okay, still a good move. I then capture. After he plays that move, I capture here. He recaptured with his rook, I mean. So in this position, I realize I'm up in material, and I decide it's time to trade down into an endgame in which I am up in material. And that's obviously what you want to do when you're up in material and you have a better position, because it allows you to have a smaller room for error. So I put the pawn first, attempting to block this right here. I do not want his rook going, or his knight going anywhere, sorry. Because knight to b5 is just an obnoxious move that I am trying to prevent, so I do prevent it here with a6. He then puts his bishop on f3, good development move. And here I go bishop to d5. So the reason I did this, I was just trying to shave down some material, because captures, 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 captures. So it would be rooks, just both of us having 2 rooks, but I would be up a pawn, so it would be winning for me, most likely, unless I completely blunder. The engine does not like this. They'd rather me move my rook down to the second rank. So that would be threatening these pawns, obviously, but I just don't feel like doing that. Instead, I just move my bishop, and he takes it. Wait, no, he does not, actually. I forgot how it went. He moves his rook to d1. A mistake, actually, because now captures, recapture with the rook, and now I play knight to e4. So This is a great move because he cannot recapture. If he does, it's checkmate on d1. So he sees this. I'm surprised he saw this. Judging by his previous moves, I thought he was not going to see this. So he just grabs the pawn. He's not an idiot, or at least for now he isn't. So then, instead of recapturing, he cannot recapture actually, because if he were to recapture, I would just checkmate him. He's still in the checkmate position, so he has to move his pawn. I grab the pawn, he grabs a pawn, and here I play pawn to h5. And I do this, I just don't feel like losing material here. The engine likes to move. I mean, it could have been better. Could have gone to c1, but I just feel like moving the pawn out of the way for now. He moves his king to g2. And so I move my knight to b4. Now he puts his pawn on g4, and I capture, just getting that pawn out of the way. And so now I see that I can move my knight to d3 unimpeded and have a nice threat against his pawn. And if he were to move it, I would eventually just bring my pawns down, trade it off, and get a queen. So he sees here that I am probably going to get a queen on the right side of the board. So he starts pushing his pawns. I capture, and he pushes the other pawn. I push my pawns, he pushes his pawns, and then I push the pawn on the A file. He pushes the pawn on the H file. And here, the engine says this is an inaccuracy. I like this move. It sets up a nice threat of a fork here, which he actually ends up not seeing. So the engine wants me to put my rook here, defend the pawn, or prevent the pawn from being promoted, but I really just want to mess with him, put my knight in his face, and that's what I end up doing. So here he actually does not see it, and I thought he wouldn't. That's why I did this. If it were a higher ranked player, I would know that they would see it and they would move, and then it would have been a pointless move. But he does not see it, and I fork him, and now the game is over. So obviously he cannot promote his pawn yet, or else I will just capture it and the game will be completely over. So here I see that I can just keep moving my pawn because there's a nice little diagonal here on which I can check him. So check, and now the game's over. There's no way I can lose unless I completely screw it up and blunder. So here I do have a couple inaccuracies, but I make them after I already know the game's over. I have the game in my hands, so it doesn't matter. So the inaccuracies there are pretty much meaningless. So the few inaccuracies that I had in this game are mostly meaningless. I did have two in the actual game before I had it in my hands, so I guess those do count. So I would say this is pretty much a near perfect game, good accuracy, and I like it. I'm pretty proud of it. So yeah, I win with checkmate. He did not resign, interestingly enough. I think it might have been I was low on time, but I'm not going to lose this. I have it in my hands. So the other game is this. It's a one-day game, so it's not like I'm just pulling these moves out really fast. It's not like as impressive, but I do have better accuracy. The engine likes all of my moves here. I think I had 99 accuracy in this, so I am white in this. So I start with e4. He responds with e5. Good move. Textbook move, I mean. So then I develop my knight. He develops his knight, protecting the pawn. And I put my bishop there. I forget what this position is called, but I play it a lot. This is probably my most common position, so I'm very familiar with it. He moves his pawn on the H file, or because he does not want me going here, initiating the fried liver attack. But I wasn't going to do that regardless, so it wasn't a good move for him. So then I castle, knowing I'm up in development because of this pawn move he made. He then puts his knight on f6, and then I make an ambitious move. And this is ambitious because I hardly ever play this position. I forget, again, what this is called, but I don't ever play that move. It just, I think this might have been like the first time I've played that in a rated game. So yeah, I play that move. I know that's obviously an equal trade down. I can just really quickly look and say, okay, if I go here, captures, we're chilling with equal material. So he does take the bait, he captures, I capture. So this is actually an inaccuracy because instead of just capturing there, he could put his knight right here, threatening this, and he also has a threat on this. So I'd have to move my queen here, I think, to protect both, putting me in a worse position, but I guess he doesn't see that. It just goes right to capturing. So that's not good for him, and now I am in a superior position, dominating the center. I have control, I have everything, and he has one knight developed and a pawn. So here, I think this is the move that lost him the game. This is not a good move because of what can happen if I play with good accuracy. So here, He should have gone here, forcing the trade, which would have been better positionally for him, but instead he goes with this. I'm not sure why. I obviously pushed the pawn. So this is a mistake. He should have just recaptured. It still wouldn't have been a superior position for him, but it would have been okay. This move completely loses the game for him. So now that he's done that, I capture. And now at this point, I see that I have the idea of here. And then if he blocks with bishop, I can go here. Or here, sorry. Because then his bishop will be here if I put him in check. But I saved this idea for a couple more moves, so he recaptures. Oh, and then I put him in check. All right. So he's in check now. And I see that the best move for him would be here. But I just feel like he's not the player to do that. He just, like, I don't know. He's not the best kind of player. So I assumed he would not see that move. He's not like the most ambitious guy or girl. Not trying to assume no gender. So he blocks with bishop like I assumed he would. And I completely take advantage of it, capturing on g7. So then he moves his rook, and then bishop comes in to capture, threatening or having some nice threats that we'll see later on. So now he's in big trouble, and he needs to do something about it. So he moves his queen to a5, trying to defend this. But the idea here is just too strong to stop if I play it correctly. So I develop my knight. I need to get my knight here for this threat to exist, and so I can have the superior position stay there. And so he tries to move his queen to prevent this, but I just go right in, just disregarding that completely. He captures, trying to get some material. So that was a bishop sacrifice right there. But it does not matter because now I move my queen to g5, sorry. So he blocks with his pawn, the only thing he can do, because obviously he can't capture this bishop because my knight is just eyeing down his king like a sniper, I guess. And so then he blocks with his pawn, but then comes g7. So then he has to block with his rook here. But it just does not matter because I'm coming in with my rook here on e7. So if he recaptures, it's mate. Because if he goes here, boom, it's mate with the support mate with the knight. There's another line that I did analyze, and it's the best move he can make going right here. I don't remember. I know it's like, I think mate in 7. I don't remember exactly what it was, so I won't show that. But I do remember that it leads to mate regardless. So this is a winning position for me. But I guess he just folds and he just captures right there. He just does not care. Or maybe he just made the move in a hurry. But anyway, it leads to mate. It's a complete blunder, and I win the game. But if he had not done this, I still would have won. I think, I know I would have won, but I don't remember in what. I think it's either mate in 11 or mate in 7. But it's still a winning position, so I'm proud that I played this into the game that I did. The engine said I had 99 accuracy. I can check right here to see the analysis. Let me just pull it up real quick. Play, archive, and then once I click archive, do a search for 99 right here. 99.6. Basically perfect accuracy. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is my first voiceover video with a chess analysis. 2 games I played that I'm very proud of. So I hope you guys enjoyed. That's it.